Good morning, students. Let's continue with the same chapter, Chief Seattle's speech. I'm sure you're reading the chapter while we are reading it here. Make sure that you do have your books as well. Well, I hope you remember that Chief Seattle's speech is not a story, right? It's a proper speech given by Chief Seattle to his people, right? He was actually talking to his people and they were discussing about various problems or various differences that they have with the whites, against the whites. Now, apart from that, we can also see that Chief Seattle talks about a proposal, a legal document that was sent to him by the white chief, by the King George, and which actually said that the King George is willing to buy the lands of the natives. Now, you can see in your story they call it a proposal, and in the proposal, even Chief Seattle says that he has sent greetings and friendship. Now, there were greetings and friendship, but actually the proposal was related to buying lands, right? And apart from that, there were three conditions that if they do as they say, first, they will allow them to live comfortably on their own land. Second, they will protect them from the other tribes and they will allow them to visit the tombs of their ancestors. So there were these different conditions attached to it if they sign the legal bond. Okay, let's continue. We have read about the ashes as well. We'll start with page number 44, second last para, day and night. Right, this is where we have to start from. Now it's a short chapter, but it has got many words where you'll have to write the meaning to understand it, and there are many important lines. You'll have to read each line to understand it. Okay, let's start with the first one. Day and night cannot dwell together. So he's talking about his people and the whites. Means day and night, we cannot live together. We cannot stay together. The red man has ever fled the approach of the white man as the morning mist flees before the morning sun. So he says here, the red man, they used to run away from even when they heard about the whites entering in. In the same way, you must have seen the morning mist everywhere, and the moment sun rises, this mist, it vanishes away. So he's saying that we people are like the morning mist, and when these whites will come, we will all vanish away. He's calling the whites as the sun. So he says here, like the morning mist vanishes away when the sun rises, in the same way, when these whites will come, then my people, they'll also vanish away. However, your proposition seems fair. Proposal again, remember that, okay? However, your proposition seems fair, and I think that my people will accept it and will retire to the reservation you offer them. He's talking to his people. He says, okay, I think, their proposal is fine. It's okay. And I'm sure my people, they're ready to take retirement. They're ready to live wherever you allow them to live, right? So he says here, my people will accept it and will retire to the reservation, to the place you offer them. Reservation means a reserved place for these natives. Then we will dwell apart in peace. Then he says here, then of course maybe you'll be in our country, but we can live separately and in peace. For the words of the great white chief seems to be the words of nature speaking to my people out of dense darkness. So he says here, I feel as if these words spoken by the white chief are like the words, like maybe it's a kind of a message given to us by the nature, right? Maybe nature wants us to retire. Maybe the nature wants us to take rest and is allowing these whites to enter in. So he says here, maybe the words spoken by the white chief are the words sent to us by nature. because nature cannot directly speak to us. So maybe this message is sent to us through the whites. It matters little where we pass the remnant of our days. Remnant means remaining. So he says here, it does not matter for us where we pass our, rest of the days, whatever days are remaining. They will not be many. So he's quite sure that the remaining days of his people will not be many. The Indians' night promises to be dark. Indians here, okay, remember we are talking about red Indians, the natives, okay, not our country, we're talking about red Indians. So he says here the Indians' night, that I think that this time period for us will be dark. Not a single star of hope hovers above his horizon. Hovers means hangs. So he says here, I don't see even a single star of hope that we will be saved from these whites. There's no hope. And because there's no hope, it is clear that our time will be very dark. Sad voiced winds moan in the distance. So he says, even I can hear the sound of the winds, and they seem to cry cry for us. They are also mourning. Grim fate seems to be on the red man's trail. Means even the grim fate, like even the destiny or the fate is, following us now. They are after our life somewhat. And wherever he will hear the approaching footsteps of his fell destroyer, and prepare stolidly. So he says here, and it is as if we can hear the footsteps of the fate coming towards us. Fate means end. Here for them, end of their life. So he says here, as if it seems as if we are walking and our trail, our footsteps are followed by the fate, and we are scared. We know that very soon we will be hunted down. So that is what he feels. So he says here, I'll read it again, listen. Grim fate seems to be on the red man's trail. Trail means track, that the fate is following us, and wherever he will hear the approaching footsteps of his fell destroyer, and we can hear the footsteps of our destroyer coming towards us, and prepare stolidly to meet his doom. And we have prepared ourselves without any revolt, without any fight, to meet our doom, to meet the end of our life. Right? Stolidly means without being upset, without being, reluctant. Doom is a destruction. As does the wounded doe that hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. He says here, we are waiting for the destructor to come and destroy us. Like a wounded deer. Doe means deer. Like a wounded deer who is waiting, who can hear the footsteps of the hunter approaching towards him. Right? Fine. I'll read it again. As does the wounded deer that hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. So in the same way we are the wounded deer, we can hear the footsteps of the whites coming towards us. And if they'll come, they'll hunt us down. Okay, page 45, second para. A few more moons, a few more winters. Not one of us, not one of the descendants of the mighty host that once moved over this broad land or lived in happy homes. So we'll take one part of the sentence at a time. A few more moons, a few more winters means, few more days or maybe few more months. And then not even a single descendant of my tribe who once lived happily on this land, or who were once protected by the Great Spirit will remain to cry over the graves of the people who were once more powerful than the whites. I'll repeat it, listen carefully. That, maybe few more months, few more years, and then none of the people from my tribe will be alive to cry over the graves of the ones who are dead. There was a time when we were powerful, we were happy, and we were guided or protected by the Great Spirit. But now we are all meeting our doom. But why should I mourn at the untimely fate of my people? Then he questions that why should I cry right now over the untimely fate of my people? Tribe follows tribe and nation follows nation. So he says it's a, it happens in the nature. One tribe follows another, one nation follows another. So it happens. One comes, the other goes. So it is a life cycle kind of a process that keeps on moving. Then he says here, tribe follows tribe, nation follows nation, like the waves of the sea. It is the order of nature, and regret is useless. So he says, I feel that it's an order given by nature, and regretting is useless. I cannot regret. Whatever is written is written. Now we will have to face the same fate. Then he says here, your time of decay may be distant. He's talking about the whites, that maybe your time of decay, your time, your end time may be at distant, but it will surely come. But of course, very soon you will also meet your doom. For even the white man whose God walked and talked with him as friend to friend cannot exempt from the common destiny. So he says here, even the whites who are protected by God and whose God walked and talked with them, even they cannot be saved from the final destiny. We may be brothers after all, we will see. So then, if we have the same common destiny of destruction, then I feel that we are somewhat brothers. We'll see that. We will ponder your proposition when we decide. We will let you know. So here he is again saying that we will think over your proposal. And when we decide what we are willing to do, we will let you know. Ponder means think. Proposition, again, same word, proposal. But should we accept it? I here and now make this condition that we will not be denied the privilege without molestation of visiting any time the tombs of our ancestors. This is the third one, right? Means I know one thing, that if we allow them to take over our lands, they will never humiliate us, they will never molest us, and they will let us go and visit the tombs of our ancestors. Underline it so that you know you've got the third condition here. Molestation is humiliation. So he says here, I know one thing, right? I know that if we accept this condition, then we will not be denied. They will never refuse the privilege without humiliating us, that we can visit the tombs of our ancestors, friends, and children. Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. In the estimation or in the value, or we are talking about opinion of my people. So he says here, I know my people, every corner of this land, everything is sacred for my people. See, he is given the list here. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed. Hallowed means, holy, by some sad or happy event in days long. So he says here that every part of this land, it has got some or the other memory related or connected to my people. In days long vanished, that too long, long time ago. Even the rocks which seem to be dumb and dead, as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, thrill with the memories. Now he says here, even if you look at the rocks, they seem to be dumb and dull, dead. Even these rocks, they have the memories of my people. There was a time when my people, they were, everywhere. So every corner of this land is filled with the memories of my people. So he says here, thrilled with memories of stirring events, of different events connected with the lives of my people. And the very dust upon which you now stand, you means white. So he's saying that the very dust on which now you are standing responds more lovingly to their footsteps than yours. That dust responds more lovingly to my people than to yours, the whites, because it is rich with the blood of our ancestors. Why? Because this mud, this land is actually, made holy or is sacred because of the blood of my people. And our bare feet are conscious of the sympathetic touch. And of course, these people, Red Indians, they used to walk barefoot, I'm sorry. And because of that, he says, and our bare feet, they have much better touch with the land than yours. Right? I hope you've understood this much. After that, it says here, our departed braves, fond mothers, glad, happy-hearted maidens, and even the little children who lived here and rejoiced here for a brief season. So he says here, every single person, mother, sons, daughter, children, old people, whoever have lived here, whoever, right? Whoever has lived here, even for a brief short season, will love the somber solitudes. They will love this land. They will love the dark loneliness places like this. And at eventide, evening, they greet shadowy returning spirits. So my people, they love these lands, and during the evening time, they used to meet the spirits of their ancestors. And when the last red man shall have perished, and the memory of my tribe shall have become a myth. So he says here, and at the time when even the last person of my tribe would have died, and our stories would have become a myth among the white men, then these shores will sown with the invisible dead of my tribe. So he says here, there will be a time when my people will no more be here. This whole land will be taken care of by the whites. So when these whites, they will think that they are alone. These shores will be filled with the spirits of my people. Okay, sown means filled. And when children's children think themselves alone in the field, and when these whites, their children, will think that they're alone in the fields, in the field, the store, the shop, upon the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods. Whenever these whites, they will think they are alone, they'll never be alone. Why? Because of the spirits of my people. They will not be alone. In all the earth, there is no place dedicated to solitude. So he says here, if we talk about earth, there's no place where there is, a place for solitude. You can never be alone. At night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent, and you think them deserted, they will throng with the returning host, and once fill them, and still love this beautiful land. So he says here, at night, when you will think that these cities, the street, everything is deserted, means is empty, then you will not realize, but everything will be filled with my spirits, not the spirit of my people will be here, will return back, because we all love this land. The white man will never be alone. So it's a kind of a warning that maybe you whites, you can come and take over our land, but you'll never be alone. We'll be here. Let him be just and deal kindly with my people. So he says here, I want him to be just. I want him to do justice with my people and deal kindly with my people. For the dead are not powerless. Why? Because the people who are dead, they are not powerless. Dead, did I say? There is no death, only a change of world. So he says here, maybe I've said dead, but there's no death. It's only the change of worlds. It's a beautiful speech. If you'll go through it, you'll understand how Chief Seattle is talking about the whites, how he is giving them a warning as well, and how he feels that the dead people, they're not powerless, and he believes that the spirits of his people will haunt that place, will not leave the land, and the whites, they might be in trouble, right? So it's a beautiful chapter. Go through it, read it, and if you have any doubts, please do let me know. Read from the workbooks as well. Please do read from the workbooks. You'll get all the word meanings in the workbook, right? You'll even get the explanation. You'll even get the extra details about the chapter. So go through the workbook part as well, right? I'll send the question and answers. And of course, you can practice some question and answers in the workbook as well for your own good. Okay? So that is it for today. Thank you.